Good morning, class. This is your English teacher, Sir Sanjay. Welcome to yet another session of online classes or YouTube session to be precise. In the previous class, if you remember, I've explained you the lesson called The Shepherd's Treasure from English Supplementary in detail. Right? This lesson. So in this class, what I've done is I've prepared few slides. What I'll do is I'll give you summary and we will analyze the question and answers. Okay. So to keep things simple, let me clarify one thing. This video is not going to be the 20-minute long affair. This will last for 10 odd minutes because the explanation pertaining to the lesson has already been done. What we are doing is we are covering it up with question answers now. Okay. So let's see what do we have here. Initially we have introduction to the lesson, right? So this story throws light upon the importance of human values like honesty, dignity. It throws light upon the importance of human values like honesty, wisdom, and humanity, right? How, by following such high values and principles, Shepherd became what? He became a governor, is what we learned, right? So here is explanation which we are not doing. It's about a poor shepherd who lived in Iran. He was so poor that he didn't even have a what? He didn't even have a small house because of less number of schools during those days. What happened? Because of less number of school during those days, he could never attend school to read and write. Okay, so I'll just read out important summary. So there are two words which you should know here. They are shepherd, a person who takes care of the sheep, right? Shepherd is a person who takes care of the sheep, and then the other one is cottage. It can be termed as a small house. All right. Moving on. See, as we move on, what do we have? Yeah. In spite of the poverty and illiteracy, this shepherd was very wise. Clear, he was very wise. He was able to understand people's pain and often helped everyone, often helped them to solve their issues with courage and wisdom. He had this courage and wisdom, mixture of courage and wisdom, which will take you to heights of great success. Clear, he had both. Okay. Now people used to visit him to find suggestions and solutions to their problem. Because of his ability, he became very popular among masses, and the king he heard about him. He heard great things about this man. Okay, so what would the king decide? The king would decide to meet him in person, but with a single twist. The twist was he will be in disguise so that the shepherd is not able to understand who he was. Okay, so what happens the next day? Dressed as a shepherd and hiding his true identity, the king reached the shepherd's cave on a mule. The moment the shepherd noticed him coming to his cave, he got up to greet him. He brought the traveler inside his cave and gave him water and food. Okay, he greeted the traveler. Important things to be noted here. He greeted the traveler, gave him water to drink, and he went on to the extent of sharing his own meager meal, simple meal that he was having. Clear? Which all reflected his manner and gratitude. Not gratitude, is humility. Okay. The king took rest and stayed with him for the night in the cave. The king was impressed by his friendly, warm and friendly, warm reception and words of wisdom. So king was mighty impressed with this man who was friendly, wise, and was hospitable by nature. I've already explained you the meaning of hospitable, right? So let's continue. So one important word that you should be wary of is compliment. Compliment is an expression of appreciation. To appreciate someone, to praise someone for their good behavior or good things they do. Okay, let's continue reading. Though the king was still feeling tired, he yet decided to leave from the place. He decided that he should leave from the place now when the morning approached. Okay. He expressed his gratitude to the poor shepherd. So he expressed his thankfulness to the poor shepherd for his what? For his warm and kind welcome. He sought his permission to leave the place. The shepherd, somehow found out that it was the king, and he said, "Your Majesty," looking straight into his eyes, so expressing that he had understood who this man in disguise was. Okay, so a few more words. See, these words why I'm highlighting is you should write the meanings of this word in your notebook and learn them by heart. It's going to be important. Okay, 3 new words are astonished, surprised, wonder, surprise, same thing, pleased, happy, humble, not proud but very modest. Okay, so the king was wondering and was full of joy to hear his words. He thought that the shepherd was actually very wise. The people like him were the need of the king. Okay, the king thought he must use the wisdom and knowledge of the shepherd who was rooted, grounded, and who knew the problems of the people. Okay, who knew the problems of common or poor people. Okay, he also thought that he must work for the king, and the king made him governor of a district. In spite of all the power and dignity, the shepherd remained humble and modest. People liked him and were full of appreciation for him. Okay, so as time passes, the governors of other states developed jealousy and started, feeding negativity into the king's head. Okay, they called him that he used to steal money, part of tax, and keep it in his chest. So, after repeatedly hearing all these things, the king decides to call this man to his court one day to testify. So, as soon as he opens his chest, what was found was an old blanket. And then the shepherd says, "My, your Majesty, my treasure is this old blanket, because even if you remove me from the position of power that I'm in presently, I'll still be able to thrive and survive. So that is why I'm keeping this old blanket always with me." Okay, so hearing the response from this man, the king was mighty impressed, and he went on to make him the governor of even bigger district. Okay, the moral and all I've explained you already. Be humble, be modest, and great things will follow in your life. Always be kind, considerate, and moreover do things with integrity, truthfulness. Okay, all right, let's analyze the question and answers. Question 1: the shepherd hadn't been to school because he was very poor. There were very few schools in his day. He was not interested in studies. What is the correct answer? The correct answer is this one: there were very few schools in those days. There were very few schools in those days, right? Then what do we have? Question number 2: who visited the shepherd one day and why? The king of Iran had visited the shepherd in disguise, right? The king visited the shepherd in disguise because he had heard a great deal about this man's wisdom. He wanted to find out the kind of man he actually was, and that is why he visited him, right? Then we have question number 3 here: why did the other governors grow jealous of the shepherd. Why do you think the other governors grew jealous of the shepherd? Because they saw him growing and they could not digest the fact that a mere shepherd was getting more and more popular with each passing day. Alright, so they started plotting against him, which was of course unsuccessful. Okay, so question number 4 now. Why was the new governor called to the palace? What was the reason of the new governor being called to the palace? The new governor was called to the palace to testify for the reason he was carrying this big chest always with him wherever he went, right? Question number 5. Why was everyone delighted to see the iron chest on the candle's back? Because they thought now the time has arrived for the governor to get exposed. They thought he was dishonest and used to save part of the what tax he collected from people on the chest, and now he will be exposed and he'll be dismissed from his position. So they were getting very excited for that, which of course wasn't true. Okay. Question number 6. What did the iron chest contain? It contained the old blanket which was with the shepherd when he had nothing, right? Then 2. Why did the shepherd always carry it? Because he was on the thought that whatever power or position he was in, even if it does not last tomorrow, day after tomorrow, or whatever time, his oldest friend, the old blanket, will still remain with him. It will protect him, right? 3. Is it an example of the shepherd's humility or wisdom, or both? So see, it's an ideal example of shepherd's humility, wisdom. The reason is he was humble when he rose to power, and he used his brain and tactics to handle tacky situation. Okay. Then the next one, how did the king reward the governor? The king rewarded the governor by making him the governor of even bigger district, isn't it? So this few simple question and answer. See, if there is assessment of any nature in future, we may include extra questions. So it is very important for you to go through the book and the story once again and digest whatever is there, learn the word meanings, and identify the portion or section which can potentially be used for giving question answer. Okay. So with this we come to analysis of question answer of this lesson from English Supplementary, the Shepherd's Treasure. So let us stop here for today. It was wonderful to be sharing this session with you all. Thank you everyone. Thank you.